The fallacy of gun control is apparent in these statistics. Proponents would have us believe that crime will be reduced once guns have been removed from citizens' hands. Unfortunately, it is evident that we need to remove knives from the children's hands as well. This approach has been used in European nations, but to no avail. Crime doubled, and like America, stabbing seemed to be the new craze. Beheadings and mass stabbings are now a favorite. This is a societal mental issue. Two generations are now lost in the penal system, and their victims in coffins. Leadership is solely to blame. Europe, Canada, and America suffer from the same affliction: corporate greed and elitist anti-citizen and country world order agenda, in addition to prepaid for and ordained politicians detached from reality. The Canadian mass stabbing here is an excellent example of what plagues the US, Europe, Mexico, South America, and others. Miles Sanderson on 9/4/2022 stabbed 12 people to death in Canada. The latest fad in Europe are explosives and Mack truck mowdowns. Mass stabbing. The melting pot of hatred and crime seems to have flourished under Governor Hochul. At least she can provide New Yorkers and tourists with one guarantee: you will be targeted for violent crime and told you are the cause. Like this guy putting his face in front of the axe. All forms of transit ridership are down. The metros are dying, along with kids. Our man to the left just received his George Soros woke diploma. Very exciting. Unlike the Biden administration, South America realizes these hardened killer criminals might be dangerous. Apparently they are still working on their two-step dance routine and woke sensitivity training.
There are laws to get here legally. That includes another legal way for someone to come to America by seeking asylum because they're fleeing persecution, like a lot of our ancestors did as well. And for many people, that's what's happening at our southwest border now. Over the past several years, thousands of people have been fleeing from Central and South America and the Caribbean countries ruled by oppressive dictators, including Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and escaping gang violence, which has the same impact, in Haiti. Currently, these four countries account for most of the people traveling into Mexico to start a new life by getting to the American border and trying to cross. But instead of safe and orderly process at the border, we have a patchwork system that simply doesn't work as it should.
El Salvador's president is far sharper than Biden. He realizes there is no hope of redemption for these violent offenders, and it was time to rein in the tyranny and murders. Over 64,000 criminals have been apprehended and placed in the new MAGA. Or is that MAGA concentration camp? CCP re-education is not possible. Murder has dropped 57% almost overnight. The citizens are cheering in El Salvador while dying in the U.S. Thousands of gangsters are flooding the borders to elude confinement in the new MAGA prison. DACA is just another program to extort money and jobs from citizens. Hopefully, the lower left image does not resemble the typical Biden-Obama DACA applicant. Even if the fentanyl scourge is eliminated, something will replace it. The root of the problem must be addressed. Governors such as Newsom are directly responsible for the crime we now experience.
House's weaknesses masquerading as strength, small men in big offices. More than any people in any place, California has bridged the historical expanse between freedom for some and freedom for all.
To today are coming from the Sinaloa cartel. This fentanyl is coming across the border. Those fentanyl precursor chemicals are coming from none other than China. They are coming to our streets and they are literally paralyzing our communities. I spoke with a drug user.
I've done a tremendous number of things correct, and of which I am very proud. And let me just pick up on one element of your question, and that's the element of fentanyl. Because the effort to smuggle fentanyl into our country actually comes through the ports of entry. And we have increased the interdiction of fentanyl by quite a significant amount.
Knowing President Biden is a perpetual progressive pathological liar, we can assume his surrounding advisors are as well. Every time they speak at the congressional hearings, their statements, actions, and body language give them away. Because of a woke education, the Rolex Ripper Gang went from riches to rags. These aspiring DACA students will get the re-education so desired in prison. Over 2.5 million have crossed the border, and they are looking for a new place to call home. Will it be your house or the Ritz Hotel on you? Now, the government tells parents the safety of their children is on them.
And I'm going to simplify this, and y'all might just say, the onus of keeping your kids safe is on you.
Detroit residents now provide armed escorts. Government corruption and incompetence has led to the need for armed escorts. Gascon and Newsom have been ridiculed for prisoner releases. From a citizen's perspective, it is clear that with malice aforethought and intent, the governor knowingly released, without any regard for public safety, thousands of hardened criminals and gangsters onto the streets to kill, assault, rob, rape, loot, and riot. For this, Governor Newsom is culpable in myriad crimes against the citizens of California and should be held accountable. He is solely responsible. Will the 65,000 visa workers replace the laid-off tech workers? Wait a second. We have a news flash. Biden poll numbers are up 3 million. Illegal immigrants, that is. Good thing they can vote, right? I wonder what city they're in. Perhaps it's Democrat. Janice did not watch the same movie. Perhaps she will sit in prison while pursuing her woke GED. It's nice to know you can still fill in those boring moments with a train derailment. This father and son team, where 2 generations, are now in the penal system. Decades in prison will not make amends. Now, 4 teenagers' lives are ruined. This sanctioned mentality trickles down, be it from environment, peers, parents, or government. In El Salvador, tolerance has waned in favor of permanent incarceration. Mass stabbing. Now kids are lucky to make it to their teenage years. A progressive agenda only works when you have honorable intentions. Those leading this nation for the last 40 years do not. The political climate, as they like to say, is corrupt to its core. These 2 beautiful young ladies would probably be alive today if the leadership at all levels had public safety in mind. There is no excuse. With respect to illegal or ill-advised gun sales, the FBI's Fast and Furious operation heads the list. But now we find out that the LA Probation Department also sells weapons onto the streets. America's heavily guarded armories seem to be easily breached and weapons stolen. Cargo trains are being robbed of gun shipments. Gangster ghost guns are turning up everywhere, and hundreds of abandoned guns just turned up in a dumpster. With President Joey in the lead and Governors Newsom and Hochul following up with their historical releases, we can guarantee plenty of guns will be available to these criminals. The subject of fentanyl often arises. Lack of cooperation among countries seems to be a point of contention. Just bundle it up so it's watertight, return it to the sender. These are lonely remote islands, and hundreds of kilos floating up on the shore should break the monotony. No doubt these boys are bored stiff and would like to have a blast. President Xi will shut the plants down for you. International cooperation is always preferred, but not necessarily needed. While the Biden administration and its governor cronies pile up bodies hoping to force gun control, El Salvador has decided to control the criminals. What a novel idea. Virtually overnight, murders went down 57%. Mass stabbing. We all await the Supreme Court decision on whether the entire federal government is unconstitutional. In other words, corrupt. Discount shopping has taken hold all over the country, and the rush is on. The Hollywood heyday has given way to mayhem, and the leadership is pleased. Now we find the feds were not only instrumental in the January 6th events, but they were also inciting riots in Portland. I am sure we can find a solution to these dilemmas. Well, it looks like the asphalt sealer trucks were scheduled for today. Of course, you got to get the street clean with that soapy sprayer. I wonder what those large tubs of lard on the sidewalks are for. It looks like the protest is going to be a belly flop. They do think of everything. Look at that. They're even selling Band-Aids to the protesters for all the abrasions they're going to get from the asphalt. If you think about it, there is a solution for everything.